Here we go. Claims of extortion, blackmail coming from the world's richest man. Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon and the owner of the Washington Post, says the publisher of the National Enquirer threatened to release explicit pictures of him that Bezos had apparently sent to his mistress. Bezos says the tabloid offered to hold off publishing the pictures if he stopped investigating how the Enquirer obtained text messages that he exchanged with his lover. Bezos released an email that he says backs up his blackmail claim. One part reads, and here I'm quoting, "In the interest of expediting this situation, and with the Washington Post poised to publish unsubstantiated rumors of the National Enquirer's initial report, I wanted to describe to you the photos obtained during our news gathering," end quote. The email then goes on to describe the salacious photos and ends with this line. It would give no editor pleasure to send this email. I hope common sense can prevail, and quickly, end quote. The National Enquirer's parent company says it acted lawfully and will investigate the claims. Bezos' investigators have not confirmed how the Enquirer got the text, but are floating this theory.
They have begun to believe, the Bezos camp, that this publication by the National Enquirer might have been politically motivated. Gavin DeBecker told us that he does not believe that Jeff Bezos' phone was hacked. He thinks it's possible that a government entity might have gotten hold of his text messages.
Mm-hmm. Greg, you look like you're enjoying this story.
Oh, yeah. It was I support anyone who stands up to blackmail, and it's why you dumb leftists should stop going after billionaires, because one of the only ways you can fight extortion is if you're super rich and you've got nothing to lose. 3 examples. Peter Thiel. Right? Billionaire, brought down Gawker, which was an engine of malice. Donald Trump got the Daily Telegraph to apologize after smearing his wife. And now you have Bezos, who's the world's richest man, who's actually, I always look at this as somebody who's doing something for other people, meaning that, like, there are a lot of people that can't endure extortion. We don't know. I don't know what's going on right now, but I know that I couldn't last it. The moment they find me with that giraffe,
that must have been,
FNC has cut me loose.
Really interesting. You and a giraffe.
Yes, well, you know.
The
mind wonders.
It was college, and I needed the money.
But he's trying to establish a Saudi link, and he's trying to say that David Pecker invited to the White House. He brought a Saudi.
David Pecker is the boss, the owner of the National Enquirer.
And his last name for a very interesting headline in today's New York Post, by the way.
A classic.
I don't get it. Could you please explain that to me?
I wish I could. It kind of slipped my mind for a second, and
Ask
I
the
never
giraffe.
know who might be watching.
Animals are great.
But he's trying to establish some type of Saudi link, and maybe tangentially to the president, as if the president would be behind his affair with Laura Sanchez. It originally started with the Daily Beast saying that they were focusing with his personal investigation on Michael Sanchez, the brother of Laura, that started this whole thing out. So he wants to create a different situation. He also goes on to say that because as soon as I brought up Saudi Arabia, they were frenetic over at the Enquirer. They wanted to stop this right away. So I hit a nerve, and that's why he came forward. So he wants to say this is an international story when it's really his personal decision to have an affair, and the pictures were out there. What the Enquirer did, no one could ever back that up. But evidently, it's happening over and over again. Capture and kill, and pay me.
So Dana, you know, you handle public affairs on.
She's been blackmailed.
Never had to handle a sex scandal.
Okay,
Good
well
for
let's.
you, Dana.
It's like it's a hole in my resume.
No. We don't want you
There's
to do
still
that.
time.
Yeah.
Well, we want to ask you
Talking
how
about
you
it.
would have thought about this, because what you get is Gavin DeBecker, who is the security officer for Jeff Bezos, making the suggestion that we just heard referred to, right, by Brian. And so what would you do? Do you think that this, in fact, is, as Greg said, a man standing up against a blackmailer?
So something interesting about billionaires and social media, the ability then to not need a middleman, like a press person, right? So he just put it out on Medium. Like, he didn't need a spokesperson. He
put it out there.
He didn't even ask, he didn't tell his lawyers that he was going to do it. And so I think that's it's very interesting, very powerful way. Yes. And also is a way to say, like, it's also in some ways respectful to other people. Like, I don't want to deal with the salacious details. Like, don't bring them to me. They're like, this is your decision to have an affair. The consequences are all yours. But I also think it's interesting because now he has said, there are more pictures. So if they come out, Right? I already told you. Yep, there's more pictures, and they're embarrassing. Yep, that's the case. But now, if the National Enquirer were to actually publish them, they'll be on the hook for the question of, were you trying to extort him?
Well, I think the National Enquirer,
which means that they might not ever be released.
National Enquirer is on the hook for a whole lot more, Lisa, because they're in an agreement with prosecutors in terms of the alleged payoffs for porn stars from Michael Cohen or President Trump.
This is one ugly block.
It's ugly, I'm telling you. And then they agreed that they should not be involved in any kind of criminal activity. Well, if this is found to be criminal, blackmail, then they could be on the hook for that previous behavior.
Well, right, I'm not a big fan of Jeff Bezos, but this is a pretty shrewd move that he's doing, because now not only is he potentially going to get legal retribution against the National Enquirer who published this original story, but, you know, possible legal trouble and public relations trouble
also,
for them
people cheering
as well.
him on
Well,
when they were calling him an evil, you know what.
And to that point, exactly. So now, from a public relations standpoint, he's now diverted the attention away from his horrendous story about cheating on his wife and all this other stuff to now the National Enquirer's this big bully look at them. And not only that, but they're also trying to take it even further and lay this at the feet of the president. You've got Gavin de Becker, which is the guy who's running this investigation into it, who has alluded now somehow that this is the fault of the Trump administration, that the government potentially may be behind that.
It says a government agency. That doesn't mean a U.S. agency.
But you could imply as much.
They said national security
But it's also
agency.
even more than that, because they've also said that Michael Sanchez was responsible, and the Washington Post reported that he was a Hollywood agent connected to Trump. So they've now then tried to turn this on Trump, who the media hates, is going to take the bait and run with it. I think it's smart.
It's Amazon, always about the packages.
Oh, gosh.
Trying to get out of this segment, guys.
All right.